to the world of Swahili speaking people. Kama sivyo cha mtema kuni au sio bana? Ukweli ndio favorite yake wewe utumia hiyo, alafu yeye inakufanya kazi gani? Lakini hii ndio maneno. And have a fantastic adventure. In this episode, our journey will take us to the eastern coast. We're gonna discover the African culture known as Swahili civilization. Au sio bana? Hatujawahi kuona hiyo kitu bwana. Ndio tuambie hiyo. Hiyo mbegu toa Zanzibar bibi. Zanzibar sio bwana? Hiyo ni utamu kama gani? Utamu kama bana kawaida tu. Kama imezidi pia. Ya kupindukia yani au. Ya kupindukia yani. Au sio bana? Yeye unauzaje mkungu mmoja hivi? Hapo unauzaje? 300 mkungu mzima. Kilo. Yani kama hii inakuaje? 300. We will also discover how Arabs and Portuguese began the international trade of slave Africans. Welcome to the show. Stay tuned. Good morning, viewers, followers of NN Intercontinental Adventure for Overland trip. Here we are today. My name is Northeastern. This is an engineer, filmmaker, storyteller. Today we are at a very remarkably historical place called Fort Jesus. Today we're going to have a little bit of exploration in and out to know the magic story about Fort Jesus. Historically was being found or established since 1593 to 1596. And today we got our guide is Mr. Mohammed Bakari gonna be the host of this movie as we're gonna explore in and out the story of Fort Jesus. As you know, Fort Jesus was found on the reign of a Portugal king called Philip. It's behind him the whole story of Fort Jesus started, and we're gonna be illustrated in detail, meticulously by our host of the day, Mr. Bakar. Stay tuned. My name is Noor Ismail, nozzle diesel engineer, filmmaker, storyteller. Join me as I share my passion for building trucks and traveling to the remotest part of northeastern Kenya. Then I will push you out. I'll make you feel like nothing but a stranger now. This video, please subscribe and remember to hit that notification bell to make sure that you catch up our weekly series of videos. Welcome to the show. Welcome.
So you're most welcome for Jesus, and this is the most historical site in the history of Kenya. The building itself, it was built by Portuguese as a military base about 429 years back. But the town is older than the fort. So once the fort, it was a coral ridge, about 15 to 16 meters above the sea level. So foundation is solid coral, which was carved as a human body. So if you see it from aerial, this is exactly as Jesus when he was crucified, with head, shoulders, body, and the 2 legs. So the fort itself is facing the nearby creek, which is the only way to the old port. So their aim, it was to control the business in and out from the old port and to the old port. And it was a very busy port at that time. That's why Portuguese, Turkish, and the Arabs, they wanted to control the business from the port. And after the Fort Jesus, we have the old town, which is the second oldest city in the history of Kenya, but it was the capital city of Kenya until 1907 when it was changed to Nairobi. So Kenya started from here. So we'll see some of the old buildings, and also we'll see the first main road in the history of Kenya. So after the Fort Jesus, we have the fruit and vegetables market. It's during the colonial time, 1914. And also we have the elephant taxes were placed in 1952 to commemorate the visit of Queen Elizabeth as she arrived here as a princess and she left as a queen. And also on the other side, out of the island again, there is a memorial grave of the Dr. Kraft. Dr. Kraft, yes. But it's on the other side. And also is where used to be the slave market. So almost 10 million people were taken from here to India to work in the spices shops. And at that time, apart from slavery, animal skin, and also spices, it was a very big deal at that time because refrigeration was not yet introduced. So spices, it was used to preserve the foodstuffs. And all business, it was aiming to India. And that's why the Portuguese, they were looking for the sea route to India, why they reached here in Mombasa.
So much more still yet to come, to be covered. And I was here early 2000, look at the picture, for the same spirit of research and exploration, because I love stories, I love ancestral stories, historical sites. Look at the picture, I was here early 2000, and here we are back now in Overland to give you the story in detail with the right guy. I think this is still the beginning. Stay tuned, as more yet to come. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Yeah.
So you can see all the cannons were removed from the end of the wall. That is when it was declared as a public museum. Okay. No more fighting. So that part is the head of the fort, and that part was much repaired after the battle. So now we are walking to the head of the fort. So the head of the fort, the bump here, it's like a neck of the fort and the right shoulder of the fort. So this is exactly as Jesus when he was lying down, but facing up. So this will be the right side, the left side will be on the other side. So the parapet walk and the firing point. Soldiers were to stand here against their enemies, and this part, it was much repaired after the battles. From here you can see a clearly view of the old town of Mombasa with a balcony and with roof on top. It's Indian design.
Okay.
At that time, the best architects were from India. The balcony, it was for the privacy of the ladies so that they could take the evening walk just in the balconies. Without a balcony and without a roof is Arab design, and also there is a Swahili house, which is a model of a house in India with a seat in front so that you can stay late during the hot season. And one of the oldest English clubs in the history of Kenya, Mombasa Club. The place once it was used as a quarry. All material for building those houses, they get it from here. So material used for building that town is coral chips, red soil, and lime cement. Houses very close to each other so that they could jump from house to house during the fighting. Original old town, it was only 45 acres with a population of about 15,000 people, operating as an independent country with leaders and soldiers. It was a very rich town at that time because of its port.
Good.
Yeah.
I really have a strong feeling of deja vu because I was here 2005, my first time to be here. Look at the picture. So I'm not new for this place here. Okay, here we go. You can see the ammunitions ready to tackle the
captain's bathroom, toilet for the guards on duty for a short call only. This is original height of the fort, where you see the mark around. Portuguese were short people, but 1698 when Arabs took over the fort, they increased it by adding 3 meters. Between 1696 to 1698, this fort, it was under siege for 2 years and 9 months. Arabs, they come attacking from south. Their headquarters was in Zanzibar. The villagers lived nearby the fort, ran into the fort to take refuge, and most of them were ladies and young children. The Arabs were at least 2 miles away from the fort, where the cannon cannot reach. Their range is 1,700 meters. They had advance of 300 meters. And for those Portuguese and the locals who were inside the fort, they dug a trench about 6 feet on the left shoulder of the fort. As the Arabs were at least 2 miles away, they could use it to supply the fort, but they had enough water, which was collected from the roof of the church and the barracks to the Portuguese water tank, which is 17 meters deep. There was no water shortage when the fort it was surrounded for 2 years and 9 months. But on 13th December 1698, the Portuguese captain was killed and survivors surrendered. One of the survivors, he told the Arabs, I have so many gold hidden inside the fort. So he led them into the powder magazine store and blew up himself with so many Arabs. We can see the cannons here. British were the last European here.
Can see Queen's what?
Yeah, Scottish crown.
Yes, Scottish crown.
Scottish crown. A watching tower in every end of the wall. So there were 2 lines of defense, yeah? Up here, there were 2 lines of defense, up here and down there. That is solid coral which was carved as a wall. And there is an addition of Chinese wall. They reclaimed the land in front of the fort to protect the fort from the high tides. So the soldiers were to stand here against their enemies, and this part, it was much repaired after the battles. Aiming holes on top for the rifle gun, and also they used to pour hot water, hot oil and hot wax to those who were trying to climb over the wall. So Mombasa is an island, but you can't go around the island. It's separated by a causeway. But the name of the place is called Makupa. Makupa is a Swahili word which simply means very shallow water. So people and animals used to cross during the low tide. During the construction of Ugandan Railway, British engineer filled the place and built a causeway. So you couldn't go around the island, separated by that Makupa causeway. So in front of the fort is the only way to the old port, and there is a natural way from the Indian Ocean, and also the port, it was a natural port. So it was a very busy port at that time. All business were aiming to India. Refrigeration was not yet introduced, so spices and salt, it was the weighted equivalent to gold at that time. So it was used to preserve the raw food. That's why all business were aiming to India.
Good. I'll say that this is a Indian Ocean slave routes. Okay. I hope the viewers enjoy the show. Still a Bakar with Mike.
Yeah. So here we have the captain's house, very secure area. At that time, there were no aeroplanes, so you could not aim the captain's house because it was guarded by the high wall in front. The high wall in front. Either the cannonball will hit the defense or the outer wall, or direct to the backside of the fort, where are the soldiers. Yeah. So the captain was like a governor at that time. So here we can see the passage steps, yeah?
So there's no chance you to approach the governor. Must be the last to be captured.
The passage steps. The way in and out. The stairs were added in 1952. Queen Elizabeth, she had appointment to visit this part, but she didn't get that chance. She had a cup of coffee where are the elephant taxes. There is a small restaurant called Wimpy. Then she went overnight in Treetop Hotel, is where she received calling her back as a queen. But the entrance down here is too narrow, long, so you enter side by side, and if they shoot you at the middle, you block the. So in front here is English Channel. On the other side is English Point. You can see two obelisks. Those are British navigation pillars to guide the ship into the old port, and you must line them as one, at least 2 miles before you reach where there is a reef. So there is a natural way from the Indian Ocean, and also the port, it was a natural port. And also you can see the Indian Ocean. And on the other side you can see navigation buoys, like the green one, the red one, to guide the ship into the old new port through the ferry services. That is international level, it's the new port. The first building you see it from here, the fiber optic cables are connected there. So they are undersea cables, which makes the internet faster. They are connected there. And the second building with red roof and heaters on top is the oldest hospital in the history of Kenya. Before it was a missionary hospital, Catherine Baby, but now is a private hospital, Mombasa Hospital. When it was a missionary hospital, it was for the British citizen only. After the hospital is Mr. President Palace and the police headquarters. From the first pillar, 90 degrees, is 2 weeks to India. Straight at
2 weeks to India?
Yeah, at the middle of the Indian Ocean. And that is rich residential. So we are on the island, and that part is North Mainland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. Keep going, man.
So we are heading to the left shoulder of the fort. And also you can see a Portuguese cannon. It's a Portuguese cannon.
Mayday, incoming.
So this wall was not there. On the first wall is where I found the Portuguese wall painting, pictures painted by unknown soldiers or sailors during their free time in early 17th century. They were found on the first wall. The second wall added as a defense when they used the passage down here, the passage of overlooking outwork to supply the fort during the siege time. And flag post, it was placed here to be seen by the ship when it was coming. That small portion is original ground level of the fort. And there were 2 palms which were found here, but the male one died recently. You can see the female one still standing.
What is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
Cycad. Yeah. This is a female one with spiky leaves. Produce a fruit. It looks like a pineapple, but it's huge. And also you can see the babies. Most of the part they had to fill it to make it flat.
It can live for lifespan for how many years?
They are more than 431 years old. They were here before the fort was built.
Okay.
There were 2 of them. The male one died recently.
Okay.
They tried to treat it, then it gains, then it dies.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have the kitchen of the fort. Now it is used as a gift shop. During the Portuguese time, it was only 3 stones, firewood under, no chimney. This is during the British time. Fort Jesus was used as a first government prison in the history of Kenya between 1895 to 1958. Even though no one was committing crime, it was for those who failed to pay taxes. So Fort Jesus was used as a first government prison, and it was the kitchen of the prison. So firewood under, cooking pot, and the chimney. Yeah.
Okay. All those ones.
Yeah. Kasi. Poa.
Arab architect, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Arab door. This is Arab door. All Arab carving must have chains design. They say these are the chains of unity, but local believe these are the chains used for the slaves, the shekels.
Yeah.
Not for squeezing lemons. The design is from India. In India, they were using elephants to break the doors, and here they were using stones.
Yeah.
So the design is to scare the elephants away, and it's written in Arabic, "Verily, we have given to you a clear victory."
Yeah.
Yeah. So the wood is teak wood, 5 pillars of Islam, and 6 pillars for faith.
Okay.
Yeah. So it leads nowhere. There is a wall behind.
It has a meaning. Everything there, it has a
Yeah.
meaning.
Leads nowhere. There is a wall behind. It's only for decoration, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the wall painting were found on the first wall. Pictures painted by unknown soldiers or sailors during their free time in early 17th century. They were found on that wall.
Okay.
And they left them there for almost 200 years. So because of the weather, they fade the original colors. But then they chip them off, very small sections, to rejoin them together and to repaint them. And where it's blank, they could not identify what it was there. So you can see a church. These are Portuguese ships, a Portuguese soldier. These are Turkish with a black turban. The name of the ship was the Portuguese well-known surname. So back here, Lemos, a local, a palace, a tomb, a broken heart. Maybe one of them was in love when they thought it was under siege for 2 years and 9 months. You can see a church and perhaps a chameleon. So the Portuguese managed to cross at the middle of the Indian Ocean because they were using almost 6 sails. It's easy to attack wind from any direction. Arabs, they were using only a single sail. Took them 3 months sailing coast to coast from here to India. When they reached India, they had to wait for another 3 months, so the wind turned direction.
Call it monsoon wind?
Yeah, yeah. They have to wait for 3 months, so the wind change direction is when they could use it. So it was 9 months going, waiting, and coming back. Yeah.
Okay.
You can see the Mazrui Hall here. So this building, it was restored by the embassy of Omani.
Okay.
This is the original wall. Yeah. So this part was restored by the embassy of Omani. So Barza, in Swahili, this is what we call Baraza.
Baraza.
Yeah.
Barza.
Place where you can sit. So it shows this part, it has been used as a meeting place. We have the evidence here. You can see the Royal Navy.
Okay, you can start there. Those are the sword.
Yeah, and the rhinoceros skin was used as a shield just to protect the heart of men and so that they could see their enemies very clearly. They prefer to wear the huge one at the back where they couldn't see. And these are daggers. People of Mombasa, they were specialists in decorating either in ivory, gold, or silver inlays.
Okay, so now I think I go there. So there's the Makutano, Baraza. Baraza
Yeah.
Wazee. Baraza. As a meeting place? Meeting.
Yeah. See, in English it's Barza, in Swahili it's Baraza.
So meaning now English have copied from Swahili.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conference hall meeting,
Royal Navy,
a hall for conference, like the picture show there, Taraza, where they were sitting.
Royal Navy,
This side were the Arabs, the other side were the British.
Arabs,
Right here. But you know, Arab here,
and the few
like that.
locals.
They had sold
These pictures can give you an idea. It's like they were amending the law.
Arabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there was been planning. Today, because we talk about it, 10 to 12 million slaves across Africa, across Atlantic Ocean or Indian Ocean.
Or Indian
Talk about 10 to 12 million slaves annually be taken out.
It can be more than that because
Yeah.
almost 10 million people were taken from here to India.
Yeah.
That's why we have CD Indians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still for Indian
Yeah,
slave
CD
trade.
Indians, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there were those who were taken to Middle East, those who were taken to Europe, and
The way I'm seeing this guy want to take even more.
Yeah.
He was not happy with that idea those people gave him. That's why he turned his face out. This is the guy.
if you look at their faces, yeah,
Yeah. He was
can
not happy
see-
with the cameraman, I think.
Yeah.
You see, he was not happy with the cameraman. Say, you are getting me in history. They went down in history. Even nowadays, I think even in their own country, they are breaking their monuments.
yes.
Because I think it was not fair. It is unhuman. Okay, I think we are enjoying too, as you are enjoying it. Good. Beauty of Arabic Sultanate of Omani.
So this is the new museum block. The new blocks were added in 1958 and it was officially open to the public in 1960. The things you see them on this side, they were found at the nearby sea during the wreck excavation from the Portuguese ship which sank in early 1667 called Santa Antonio. So it was similar to that before it was bombarded. And also on the other side, you can see during the excavation. So here we have this is the coast of
Yeye amemfunza mtoto.
Somalia border and down with Tanzania borders. So the Chinese,
Yeye pia akafuata, sio? Sema haki ni mtindo wa kisasa.
here you can see this is the coast of Kenya and some historical site along the coast of Kenya. Up there with Somalia border, down here with Tanzania border. So the Chinese were here before the Portuguese, but they didn't deal with the slave business. They introduced how to make cotton cloth and the Swahili sandals. So there is date on top, and most of these artifacts are from China. So it's simple, shows us that these people were here. You can see the model of a sheep. So this is bird-like with a short neck, with a long neck is camel-like. This is weaving design. It's the time the locals believe the flow of the Indian Ocean, it has a magnetic mountains to catch anything which is made with a metal. And according to the Chinese dynasty, even in kitchenwares, they have he and she. For example, we have huge flying dragons. This is here. On the other side, we have a phoenix, huge flying bird. This is she. On the other side, we have the Baluchi Gallery. These are the people who were brought here to help the locals to remove the Portuguese out of Mombasa. You can see this is the Baluchistan, and there were Mazrui family who were brought from Omani. After the Portuguese left, they declared themselves as rulers, is when the British were invited to protect Mombasa against other Arabs, then withdraw it and gain full control as a country, Kenya. On the other side, you can see here, the last Baluchi in Fort Jesus handing over the fort to the British in 1895. Everything is about Baluchi here. The Baluchi people, those who are here, now they are counted as a tribe here in Kenya. The attires, the Baluchi attires. Sasa. So administration block also is a new block, but the part it was used as a graveyard, and during the construction of that building, they removed the bones and reburied them in a graveyard. On this side, you can see the remaining of the Portuguese chapel. The sides were open with roof on top, together with barracks at the back. Rainwater collected to the Portuguese water cistern, that is 17 meters deep. The only thing which helped them during the siege time, there was no water shortage. So there were barracks, and then the barracks were used as prison. As I've told you, this was the first government prison in the history of Kenya, but no one was committing crime. It was for those who failed to pay taxes, and they nicknamed it and call it a King George Hotel. They could allow you to move out of the jail during the daytime, and you report back during the evening time. So at the back of the Portuguese water cistern, that is the Arab well. Took them 2 years for nothing. Water they found, they could not use it because it was salty water, yeah. So not suitable for drinking, and later they used the water for the washing. So we are walking to the back side of the fort. So this used to be a high wall separating the barracks and the toilets, bathrooms. The Arab well, you can see here, form like bathrooms. And also we have a skeleton. So original skeleton, it was found in 1990, exactly as it is this one. But according to Muslim, Christians, Jews, is not allowed to put a real skeleton on display. So it was found by a cleaner. The skull of the head, it was the only part which it was up. The damage, it may be the cause of the death, or maybe due to soil erosion, or maybe people used to step on it. Found with a double-crossed necklace. Must be one of those missionaries. And that is why buried separate with the soldiers on the other side. With folding hands, must be a Christian. So there were no African Christians along the coast of, if he was to be a Muslim, was to be with the hands aside, lying aside using the right shoulder, and only the face to face Mecca. And if you see the size of the pelvic, it's small. No hips, must be a male. So original skeleton, it was reburied underneath, and this is a copy. There. So the highest point of the fort is the Arab house, late 18th century. So welcome to Oman Arab House, late 18th century. So this part, it was restored by the embassy of Omani. Here we have the lineup of the Sultan of Zanzibar. Said was the great Sultan. He ruled in Omani and the coastal strip of East Africa. And we have the last Sultan of Zanzibar. Tanzania, it was known as Tanganyika. When the last Sultan of Zanzibar overthrown in 1963 is when it became Tanzania. But it was a Germany Tanganyika. The late Sultan of Omani and the current Sultan of Oman. It was a very big deal at that time. Refrigeration was not yet introduced, so spices and salt, it was used to preserve the raw food. So we have the Omani attires. These are the Omani attires. Also, Omani, it was known as the land of silver. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah. You've seen this?
Oh, letter from Prophet Sallallahu
Yeah. The letter from the Prophet Muhammad. Yeah. With the seal here. So Swahili is second language in Omani till today. You see the late Sultan with the great people to meet. Yeah, so this is the Oman Arab house, late 18th century, and this is the place where the last fort was here. just like the Arab turban, yeah? So after the siege, when the Arabs took over the fort, they dug around the fort to increase the height of the fort. And also we can see a colonial building that was the first criminal court in the history of Kenya. And on the left side, that is the City Council of Mombasa. Omani cannons, you can see. If you look it carefully, at the cannons, they have difference. The Portuguese cannons, they have rings. The British cannons are bigger behind. And also you can see the Arab toilet. Not similar to the Portuguese one. This you squat on top, the Portuguese you sit on top. Not forgetting, this is the highest point of the fort. Yeah. You can see the folding legs, the hole in a wall. Those are toilets. The west goes outside the fort. So this is the right folding leg of Fort Jesus, and the other one is the left folding leg of Fort Jesus.
Give a summary report now of what so far.
Yeah, the Portuguese were defeated twice by the Arabs and left. 1729 is when they left. So British were invited to protect Mombasa against other Arabs. Locals traveled to Mecca. After the pilgrim, they asked if they could get soldiers to help them to remove the Portuguese out of Mombasa. So people from the Mazrui family from Omani and people from Baluchistan were brought here to help the locals to remove the Portuguese out of Mombasa. When the Portuguese left...
So those are the Bulush now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those from Omani declared themselves as rulers. Is when the British were invited to protect Mombasa, and it was only the island. Then withdraw it and then gain full control as a country, Kenya. Now we are. So the country Kenya started from the seaside going interior till we got
island to mainland.
To mainland, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So the new block is a museum, and those are British cannons which were used here during the British occupation. On the other side, you can see those are Portuguese cannons. And where's the new block now is where were the barracks. This place, it was a home for 170 soldiers who were based here, while the population of the old town of Mombasa, it was 15,000 people in an area of 45 acres, operating as independent country with leaders and soldiers. And it was a very rich town at that time because of its port. Ladies used to wear a lot of gold and having evening walk at the balconies. So the real name of the place is called Mvita. Mvita is a Swahili word which simply means a war area. So It was a war area because the town it was rich. People were coming here in aim of stealing, but they end up killing.
When you talk about Swahili, I've even come to get it just of recent in our trip, that Swahili means coastline language. Kiswahili meaning the language spoken at the coastline.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Swahili, is it people living on the coastline?
Yes.
Kiswahili is a language which have been
The
formulated from different, came from maybe Persians?
Yeah, Swahili is a mix.
Mix, yeah.
There is Arabic,
Yeah.
there is a language from India, and there are Portuguese words in Swahili.
I think even especially
Yeah.
the most ingredient in Swahili is Arabic.
Yeah.
Let's say 60% can be but even I even just discovered now, even the young English people, they've copied Barza from Arabs.
Yeah.
So meaning Arab is rich.
And also there are some German words too.
Okay, like for example,
Schule.
Schule. Schule. Wow, fantastic. This
There
really
are Portuguese words. Bendera.
Bendera,
Yeah. It's a
Flag.
Portuguese word. Yeah.
Bandera.
Yeah. Bandera.
Bendera. Simeta
Yeah.
bendera,
Yeah.
unasema bendera. This is a Portuguese.
And also we have Bantus
Yeah.
words which
Yeah,
make Swahili.
sure.
That's why Swahili
So it's a mix.
spoken at least
The coastline language.
Yeah.
Kiswahili, lugha tamu. Au sio bwana?
Yeah. Swahili is the language. Swahili are the people
Of coastline.
along
Living
this
along the
coastline.
coastline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, this was a fascinating story from Mr. Abubakar. I think you viewers, you can also drop your comment there. We really enjoyed that fascinating story. That's not all. Remember, we also have another one called the Transatlantic, or another on the upper northern part of Indian Ocean called Indian Ocean Slave Trade, or East Africa Slave Trade, or Arab Slave Trade. And here Mr. Dunga going to elaborate a little bit, give us a little, enlighten a little bit about the transatlantic, which is a downside, which is a West African slave trade. And we're going to talk more about the East African slave trade, which was multi-nation, which was a multi-direction slave trade by the Sultanate of Zanzibar.
Yeah.
So now this is a comprehensive report of Fort Jesus, presented by our professional guide, Mr. Bakari. Used to call him Bakari, in short form, isn't it?
Yeah.
Viewers, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you really enjoyed it, thumbs up for Bakar. Subscribe to the channel. What about Mr. Dunga? Dunga is it? Yeah, Mr. Dunga is a Mugiriama man.
Yes.
Proud Mugiriama.
Yes.
Speaking Swahili.
Giriama.
Giriama, how's your bana?
Yes.
And then also present about the brief history about the East, maybe the entire Africa, because we have transatlantic, we have Indian Ocean slave trade, we talk about the triangle trade. So we have learned, and you too, I hope so, you've learned a lot about the transatlantic stories, and presented by Mr. Dunga, and Fort Jesus comprehensive report presented by Mr. Bakari. I hope you've enjoyed. If you enjoyed, just share with us what you're going to pay us. Pay us by subscribe. Click the bell button, because more yet to come. That's not all, just the beginning, a lot to come, especially the episode, the series of video climbing the highest peak of Africa, Kilimanjaro, is on the way, only to a coming. But to find it, get subscribed now. Click the bell button. Let us know your thought. And for me and for the rest of the team is thank you and goodbye. Isn't it? Want to say something to those people? Your last words?
Okay.
Come here. Your last word, Mr. Dunga.
Yeah, thank you.
Mugiriama man.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have just gone through those two areas where my colleague talked at length about the fort. And we have actually learned that Fort Jesus as a fortress had a lot of activities that was meant for the interest of those who came, especially the foreigners. On my part, I was to talk briefly about the activities of slave trade that were happening during that particular time. And mine is to wish you the very best in knowing that all these activities took place because of the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
And as we see, that ocean has for hundreds of years been having very important
Role to play on.
benefits. So
Yeah.
we look at the Indian Ocean as a cultural heritage.
Yeah, sure.
We look at the Indian Ocean as a farm. We look at the Indian Ocean as a market area, among others. So I don't have much to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of Forex Overland Trip, people made all those tours across Kenya. Now even the part of across Kenya, we just completed it within a few days. And then we also talk about the crew members, Forex Overland Trip team. They went to Tanzania, captured those great moments on Kilimanjaro. For the rest of the entire NN Group team, on behalf of NN Group team, we said thank you very much for your contribution, for your comment, for your likes. Really, we have nothing to pay you back, but to appreciate you enormously and to say let's keep in touch. Stay tuned, be with us. Next episode, series Kilimanjaro is on its way. Coming to you, people. Thanks for watching, and we say bye.
Then I will push you out. Yeah, I'll make you feel like nothing but a stranger now.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and remember to hit that notification bell to make sure that you catch up our weekly